Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I recently noticed that Microsoft has released a new certification AZ700, and this is typically for designing and implementing Microsoft Azure networking solutions. So completely focused towards networking. They want to validate your networking skill. And it also looks like under the Microsoft Learning in the GitHub repository, they have released new documentation and new labs and stuff like that. So I just thought about doing this one because I enjoy doing the the labs and the documents they release under the Microsoft Learning, okay, repository. So what we're going to do in this one, we're going to go under the instructions and exercises. And if you notice, there are a whole bunch of exercises that we have, and we're just going to start with the very top one, and let's get there. So in this one, this module or whatever exercise they have, this is for to design and implement a virtual network in Azure. And what I like about these labs, they kind of talk about almost that you are in a real life situation. And these days they have started adding a lot of architecture diagram, which is, in my opinion, is very, very important. So over here, when I looked at this website, okay, so exercise scenario, so we are going to deploy some virtual network in Azure. Okay, so it assumes that you have a virtual like Azure subscription, everything ready to go. And then you have the core services virtual network that you need to deploy in the East US region. So if you look at the architecture diagram, what we're going to do in this lab, we'll have one VNet, which will be in the East US region, another VNet that is going to be in the West Europe region, and a third VNet we're going to have in Southwest Asia. So let's read about this a little bit more. This virtual network will have the largest amount of resources. So core services, this is the core services here, you're expecting the maximum number of resources deployed. Okay. It will have connectivity to on-prem network through a VPN. So also if you see over here in this architecture diagram, this double arrow, it a lot of times that means peering, and you can do peering in many different ways. And over here, what you have the on-prem, you still have your on-premises servers and your on-premises databases, everything they're running here. You're extending to the cloud, so you have a hybrid cloud situation here. And over here, this diagram is showing you have the IPsec IK site to site VPN tunnel. Okay, so it's a VPN connection. All right, this network will have web services, databases that kind of we have in this diagram as well. I was looking at, you have a subnet for public web services, you have a subnet for shared services, a dedicated subnet for databases, and gateway, they need to have their own subnet, and the name has to be gateway subnet. So you have that, and that is the subnet you're going to use to connect to your on-prem. All right, so over here, let's see, shared services such as domain controllers and DNS will be located here. So the shared services will have the domain controller and the DNS. Then it says a large amount of growth is anticipated. So you always want to make sure that you have room to grow. So you are not running out of IPs when you are designing your virtual network, right? So here they are saying, so a large address space is necessary for the virtual network, and we'll look into that. Then let's look at the manufacturing virtual network. Okay, so this one is deployed in the West Europe region near the location of your organization's manufacturing facility. So because of the latency issues and and sometimes GDPR, data restriction, all that kind of stuff, you may have to deploy all of your resources close to your end customers and also meeting your data and other regulatory requirements. So this manufacturing VNet is going to be in the West Europe. This virtual network will contain systems for the operations of the manufacturing facility. Okay, like if you look at sensor subnet 3, sensor subnet 2, sensor subnet 1, manufacturing system subnet. So lots of subnet there have to do with the manufacturing items. Over here is also anticipating a large number of internal connected devices for the systems to retrieve data such as temperature, and will need IP space that can expand into. So you also need a large IP space in here. Lastly, let's look at the research virtual network that is in the southeast area, and again it is near the region of the organization's research and development team. So it's interesting how they have designed this. So over here, your core services has the highest number of resources deployed in the US. Manufacturing department, manufacturing the actual building is located in the West Europe. So you have another VNET that is going to be part of the West Europe region, and your researchers who are actually doing the development work, they are based in Southwest Asia. So you have another VNET uh, in that particular region. Okay, over here this team has a small stable set of resources that is not expected to grow. So here if you have a small IP range, you're okay. Okay, so what I'm noticing though, ResearchVnet, CoreServicesVnet, and ManufacturingVnet, if you look at the virtual VNet space, all of them are using /16. So that's a lot of IPs in there though. Okay, a lot of IPs, almost I think 65,000 some IPs that each of these VNet can support. So definitely, if I were you and I'm a little bit know more about networking, I'll probably go with a smaller or a larger subnet, like maybe /24 even for the VNet, or maybe /22, and not use 16. These two, since they have said they're anticipating a huge amount of expansion, I'm okay with that 16 for both core services network and the manufacturing VNet. But for the Southeast Asia research system subnet, I would in real life probably use /22 or even 23. Okay. So here, so this is what you would be creating. You will look at your own in real life. You would analyze your own requirement, come up with your architecture diagram, and then once you have that, you are creating these subnets, which are kind of shown in here. You also have it in the table format below. So where you have a core services VNet, and you are saying it's the East US, and then gateway subnet, shared services subnet. So you are creating dedicated subnet, and their importance why you create subnet. Subnets are also security boundaries. Okay, you can create rule so that this subnet cannot talk to this subnet if you want to. Okay, since this is a shared subnet, probably you will have some connectivity, but you can have NSGs, which is a network security group. You can apply to each of the subnet to allow or restrict traffic. Okay, so this table really depicts what we already have in this architecture diagram. So what we're going to do in this video, in this lab, this network and subnets is structured in a way that accommodates existing resources, okay, yet allows project growth. So we need to create all of that. So we have 5 tasks in here: create a resource group, then create the VNet, create the manufacturing VNet, create the research VNet, verify the creation and stuff. So it's pretty easy to do this job. Uh, and if you are going to do it via the portal, okay, it's even easier. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so if we go to our portal, and I'm already logged into my portal over here, and then we're gonna go, and first we're gonna go and create a resource group. So let's just click on the resource group, and the name of the resource group, let's see if there's anything they're specifying. Yeah, they're saying Contoso resource group. So let's just use, I'm just gonna say uh, something else. Cloud security. This is AZ700. So 700, and then resource group. That is what I'm going to call my, or just call it AZ to keep it AZ700, and I said dash resource group. That's the resource we're going to create. Now this resource group, actually you can create in any region, doesn't matter. Your resources within the resource group still you can deploy in other region, but just to be consistent, we're gonna just use the East US, this particular resource group. We are not requiring any tag, so we just can directly click on review and create, and it will go through the validation, and you hit create, and we probably have um, a policy in there. Let me check on the policy and then we'll create it. All right, I have disabled the policy, so I'm back here, so we can click on review and create, and let's see if that lets me create the resource group, and I have the resource group that I need. Okay, so the second, once we have the resource group created, the next step is to create the core services virtual network and the subnet. So what you can do, you can, a lot of times I'll just go inside the resource group and hit the create button from here and search for the VNet, and the virtual network shows up. Okay, now you can hit create and make sure that you're in the still in the same subscription and the right resource group. And over here, what we do, we are going to assign the right IP address. Okay, so here information from the following table. So resource group, we are using this resource group. The IP address range that we're going to use is going to be, first of all, let's just name that as the core services VNet as per the lab guide. The only thing I have changed is the name of the resource group. Okay, I'm just using AZ700.g. The name of the resource group is CoreServicesVnet. I'm keeping it the same. It's still going to be in the East US region. And let's go to the IP address. So the range we want here is 10.20.00.16. So let's just put in there. And I'm gonna get rid of this one. And what will happen, you see that there is no default subnet and you do need one. Okay, it's saying, hey, this virtual network doesn't have any subnet. So what we're gonna do over here, we're gonna hit on create subnet. Okay, so and these subnet names, okay, they have to be, especially the gateway subnet, you have to use that subnet, gateway subnet, and we're going to assign a /27 as the address range, and you don't need a lot of IPs in there. Okay, there's only 27 IPs will be available in this subnet, and that is okay. In the gateway, you don't want too many things. They're it serves a very specific purpose. So once that that is configured, we are not configuring anything else here. No NAT, no NAT gateway, and no service endpoints. You don't need that. Hit add. So you have the gateway subnet showed up in here. Okay, so that's good. Hit add network. Let's create the shared services subnet here. Let's put it in here and let's get the IP. I'm gonna say put the IP in there. So this time 10 20 10 0 24. So this one got 251 IPs available to me. Let's do the database subnet. Okay, again subnet. Let's do the database subnet, and the IP address that we need to get there is this. Hit enter. And the last one is going to be public web services subnet. So come back over here and let's see here, subnet, and provide that, and don't keep any white spaces or anything in there. Get this one. So 10 20 30, those are the ranges that I got. So 10 20 and 30. So if you see 10 20 0 0, 10 20 10 0, 10 20 20 0, 10 20 30 0, so they're really nicely organized. So once this is done, okay, I can review and create, and then create. So that gives me the virtual network with the subnets in my resource group. So if I go to the resource, and what I'll do, what is my, it's still, it takes just a minute to show up. So do a refresh and something will show up down here. There is the core services virtual network. It's deployed in the East US region. Okay, so the next thing, let's do, create the manufacturing virtual network subnet. So it's the same process, right? So over here I'm going to click, I'm under the resource group. Okay, hit create, again do VNet, go to the virtual network, and I'm going to say create. Okay, and this time uh, still the same resource group. Your name of the VNet is this different this time. It's going to be the manufacturing, and your region is also different. It's West Europe. Okay, so West Europe is where you're going to go, and from here I don't think you need require any tags. So let's hit review and create, and then create. Okay, so with this one I wanted to show you the other way. So in this one, let's see what we have done. So I'm gonna go back to the resource group. You can directly go to the resource anytime you like, but I typically go to the resource group, and this time I have two different uh, virtual network, right? The first virtual network that we created was our was the core services VNet. Now we have just created the manufacturing VNet. But what we didn't do this time, if you go in there, okay, we did not create any subnet. Okay, so we have to update. So it's using the default subnet and the default address space. Okay, so if you do that, I wanted to show you how to change that. So I want to really use the manufacturing VNet. So you go in there, you update it from here. The default one, you can get rid of it. Okay, so once you have this, you can save it. So you need to update the subnet as well first. Let's go to the subnet, and let's see, delete the subnet. Okay. So you have deleted the default subnet, and once this is done, you just go back to the address space. Let's see, so now the subnet is deleted. You can go back and you can add the new address space one more time, and now you should be able to delete this old address space that you do not want. Okay, so now that is gone. Now you can save this manufacturing VNet. Now it has got the right address space, right? And now let me show you how to create the subnets after you create a virtual network. So again, you come down to the subnet plane, subnet, and this process would be the same just before. So the first subnet we're going to create in the manufacturing VNet is this, and this is going to have 1030 24. That is the address space, and we're going to say save. So that subnet is now going to be added right there. Okay, 1030 1024. The next three subnets that we're going to do, add, and we're going to say 1030 20 0, remove any space. Okay, this one going to be census subnet 1. hit save. Next we'll do our sensor subnet 2. Let's do sensor subnet 2, and this is going to be this way, and we want to use 10.30.21.0 address space in this one, and hit save. And the third one is going to be here, and 10.30.22.0. This is going to be added here. And now if you review manufacturing system, uh, that one got uh, that one got the right IP address, or the right subnet address, 10.30.0.10.0. Then sensor got 10.30.20.0, sensor subnet 2 10.30.21.0, and sensor subnet 3 10.30.22.0. Okay, so they all look good. So the last one is to create one more virtual network. So again, the process is same. So go back in here and hit create, and over here again uh, VNet, so that gives you the virtual network. Hit create, and again I'm going to put it in this particular resource group, call it a research subnet. So let's just put it in there. And oh, last time I need to check if I did the right region though. Okay, this time let's come back over here. Make sure that we are in the Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia. Okay, so research subnet, and let's just do the IP address here at the time of our deployment. So let's just delete the existing one, put the one that we need, which is 10.40.0.0.16. It's a large address space, so we need a subnet, and the subnet is going to be 10.40.0.0.24, and it's going to be called research system subnet. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. Hit add, and that's about it. Okay, so only thing I need to verify if I change the region to the right region for the manufacturing subnet. So let's see what we have. So the deployment in progress, and what is going to happen is we're going to just go back to the resource group and validate everything. Okay, so everything is done. So let's just go back to the resource group, and now look at that, we selected the right resource group for this one. So it looks like everything is good. So we have the CoreServicesVnet, ManufacturingVnet, and ResearchVnet. So if you go back to our diagram, so the CoreServicesVnet, ManufacturingVnet, and ResearchVnet, we created all these, and we also created all the subnets inside them. So we are ready to go. So let's see what else we needed to do here. Uh, there was a verify the creation of VNet and Subnet on the Azure portal. All services, select core services. Okay, so they're telling you to do the same thing that we have already done. So we have been to all of them, went to the subnet. Here I have those four, okay, subnets that we created. And also note that the gateway subnet we only created within the core services VNet, because this is the only subnet that needs to be connected to the on-prem. Okay, that is the end of this particular lab. What I'll do in another lab, I'll do that not using the portal, but using the Terraform, and also using the ARM. And I'll show you how you should be using infrastructure as a code when you are building things like this, and not to from portal. All right, I'm going to end the video here. Let's go and see you guys in the next video, where we're going to start this one, configuring the DNS settings in Azure.
Thank you.